everyone. I'm Jonathan Viaud, host of Convention of States at Home, and thank you for joining us for a special behind-the-scenes interview with the man who brings Benjamin Franklin back to life, Texas COS State Director Darren York. Darren, how are you doing today?
Doing very well. Thank you, Jonathan. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So if you would, Darren, share a bit about your background with us and really what brought you to Convention of States, or as I like to say to people, tell us your COS story.
Well, I tell this story and my wife kind of cringes because she's probably the main reason that I got involved politically in the first place and with COS indirectly. But as most folks, you come to a point in time where you become extremely frustrated, and she got tired of me yelling at the television and insisted that I either get up or shut up. She said it a lot more eloquently and nice than that, but that was the essence of it. And I decided that she was probably correct. It was time to try to get up and start making a difference and not just bemoaning the fact that things weren't going as they should. And as a result of that, quite interesting. One of the real things that I did remember from long ago when I was in my high school government class was Article 5 and how we could amend our Constitution. And that started my research, and I came across COS and began to talk to a regional captain here and became a district captain. And over the last several years have gone from that through various roles and other volunteer activities until now I'm serving as a co-state director here in Texas.
That's actually amazing because a lot of people that come to Convention of States actually haven't heard of Article 5, or if they've heard of Article 5, they didn't know about the second aspect of it and being able to call a convention for the states to propose amendments. But you had already actually learned that in school. So this must be a very long time ago, Darren. I'm only kidding.
It was a very long time ago, but thankfully I grew up in a smaller school system, so they actually taught us about our government back then.
That's wonderful. Now, if I remember correctly, you were not moonlighting as Benjamin Franklin before your time with COS. This is something that started a few years ago, celebrating Constitution Day at some local schools there in Texas. Is that correct? And if so, how did it develop from there?
Absolutely. So, about 5 years ago or so, as part of activities that were going on in COS, we got to talking about Constitution Day, Constitution Week. I've been a school teacher in the past. My wife's a school teacher presently. And I just had this harebrained idea that I wanted to try to really spark some interest in young people about our government, about our Constitution, and really kind of light uh, some of those sparks and interest in that. So I kind of ran an idea by her. I guess it was probably in July or August of that year, and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And she said, "Well, if you're interested, you call and talk to the superintendent himself. I'm not doing it for you." So I called him. He said, "I think it's a great idea. If I'll give your name and information to the principal at the elementary, and if she's interested, she'll call you." And so literally within 30 minutes, I had a phone call from the principal, and she said, "I think it would be a fantastic idea." And so I really pitched to her, "Hey, your teachers are doing a great job. I know I'm there. I just want to kind of create that spark. So I want to come as Benjamin Franklin and just kind of tell the story of the Constitution Convention." And she was all on it and ready to go. And so I wound up buying probably the cheesiest costume on Amazon for Benjamin Franklin at the time, the most horrific wig and plastic bald head that you could ever imagine. And I went to the school, didn't really know how it was going to turn out, but had a fantastic time.
So, and why Benjamin Franklin? Why not George Washington or James Madison? What led you to Ben Franklin?
Well, I think two things. Number one, I'm not near as big as George Washington. And number two, Ben Franklin has always sort of, I guess, of historical figures, been very intriguing to me. He was a man of many talents, involved in many different things. And probably the one thing that I've always loved about Benjamin Franklin was he was a lifelong learner. He was always curious about everything, whether that was people, whether that was science, whether that was politics, whether that was diplomacy. He was constantly evolving, even till the day he died. And that was probably what really drew me to Ben Franklin.
It's funny that you said, I'm not tall enough to be George Washington. If it were me, if I had to choose, I'd probably have to go with James Madison. In fact, I joke with people that James Madison's my favorite president because he was 5'4", which is my height. So that's why I'm a big fan of the father of the Constitution. Um, so now, at the time we are recording this, this is before Benjamin Franklin joins our special COS at home for July. But if you could, Darren, tell us what you hope people will take away from what Ben has to share during that program.
Well, I think it comes down to the same thing that I hope the kids took away. I just want to create that spark that, and no pun intended given his electrical experiments, but I want to create that spark and that interest in the fact that we all can be involved. We can all do something. Ben wasn't terribly interested in politics. He was in the trades when he first, as a young man and growing up, he was a printer. He went to London, learned printing there, came back home, served as a printer, and did some great things. But as time would happen, he became involved in politics, and that took him into things being like the postmaster, and being actually the what we would call the governor at that time of Pennsylvania, and being involved dramatically. He was never a man that was actually really searching for those positions. It was always a service. He always saw that. And his mantra was, what can I do for my fellow man? That's one of the reasons he never patented any of his inventions. All of those were given to mankind. And, I think we can all learn from that type of servant spirit toward our nation. It's not about, okay, I'm going to run for office and I'm going to have power and I'm going to, be a politician. It's about how do I serve my country, and that can start right next door with you, with your neighbors, and just having conversations about the upcoming election, or being involved as an election worker, or I've been visiting with some men recently that are involved in Ben Franklin's junto, exactly the way he did it almost 300 years ago. And how do we change our country from the inside out with one small group of patriots at a time that are interested in making our communities better?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm listening to you describe Ben Franklin, and it's bringing to me images of what we're trying to accomplish with Convention of States. So it seems like it is the perfect pairing because he epitomized servant leadership, and that is something that we are trying to model as Convention of States activists. Now, you had mentioned also that this started by going to schools. It's obviously grown into something far bigger than that. So, where could people follow your work and what you've been doing with Ben Franklin beyond just going to schools?
Yeah, so it's been a blessing to have grown and become bigger and doing more things. I'm doing some things commercially with local businesses, doing dinners and evening things with wineries as experiences, and doing stage productions for the first time this year as a monologue as Ben Franklin. So you can follow all of that on benfranklin.live. benfranklin.live is the best place for you to go. You can contact me there. You can follow the different things that we have to offer and some of the things that we're getting engaged.
Excellent. And has Ben on social media too?
Social media, Ben is actually on Facebook and Twitter and all of those other medias that are present, as he did back in his day using the printing press. I'm adamant that he probably would have used those a lot better than I probably do, for sure.
That is excellent. Well, Darren, thank you so much for your time. I have to say, I feel incredibly blessed because I'm in the lucky position where I get to work closely with you and other members of the Texas team as your regional director, and I have had the pleasure of seeing you develop as an activist for Convention of States and be able to share in everything that you bring to our organization. You, sir, are the epitome of a servant leader, just like Ben Franklin. We're blessed to have been uh, able to receive so many of the gifts from Benjamin Franklin. And I think our country is also blessed to have the gifts that you provide through your activism there in Texas. So thank you for all that you do, my friend, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure.